it's worth keeping in mind, despite the horror of that over these last several hours, it's worth keeping in mind that it's not the only kind of war that we face in the 21st century. And indeed, it may not be even the most important kind of war, given the ubiquity and importance of the internet these days and the way it fits into everything that we do. I've read a book a few months back and been really looking forward to speaking to the author. And we have joining with us on our VIP line, joining us, Bill Gertz, the author of this fabulous book, iWar, War and Peace in the Information Age. Bill is also senior editor of the Washington Free Beacon and a true expert on cyber warfare and cybercrime. Good morning, Bill. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Ross. Good to be on the program.
I'd like to begin, if I might, and we can sort of work into the conversation through this. The story that we saw about a week ago of this WannaCry ransomware. And I'm curious, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about the origins of that malware. And I would like to understand what the relationship is between cyber crime, which this seems to be, and cyber warfare, which may have actually been the intended origin of the tool.
Yeah, this is a very interesting story. This ransomware began to spread to some 300,000 computers. It began as a result of a leak from NSA, and a group of hackers called the Shadow Brokers were able to identify what they call basically security flaws in the Windows operating system. And once these got out in the open, these tools are used by NSA, the National Security Agency, to do spying on foreign targets, whether it's terrorists, whether it's foreign governments. Like, for instance, in China and Russia, a lot of computers there use pirated Windows software. So they were able to use these exploits to get in there and spy. Well, somehow they managed to get out and in the open, and a number of them, and this WannaCry malware was written so that it could exploit one or two of these exploits. And that's what triggered this ransomware attack. Basically, this would take over your computer, scramble the information, and then tell you you have to pay $300 in Bitcoin, the digital currency, to get the your data unscrambled.
And just in the past few days, apparently, we've learned about a new kind of malware called Eternal Rocks, and you mentioned that WannaCry used 2 exploits. Apparently, Eternal Rocks has 7 potential NSA exploits, although they haven't yet apparently found it being used to hurt people, but it probably will be.
Yeah, this is a new strain of malware. Again, it exploits 7 different openings in this Windows software, and it doesn't seem to be interested in ransomware. It seems to be more setting up to do massive botnet-style attacks. Botnet is where computers are taken over in the thousands and used to either shut down places or cause kind of destructive malware. It hasn't hit yet, but it's believed to be resident, using some of these 7 different NSA-identified exploits.
So it's easy to understand why criminals, being criminals, would use whatever tools might be at their disposal to try to steal money from people, which is basically what ransomware is.
Yep.
But your book, iWar, talks about much more than that. Now what we're talking about is the use of the internet as a tool of international warfare. And
yes.
And I think that this is an underappreciated issue, which is part of the reason I appreciated your book so much. What do you see as the status of this right now in the macro? And then we'll delve into, let's say, our online relationships with specific countries.
Sure. Basically, the premise of iWar is that we're in the midst of what I call information warfare, which is a combination of both cyber and technical attacks like the WannaCry malware, but also information influence operations, which is kind of what we saw in the Russian effort to try and skew the election last year. And my thesis is we're under attack from the bad guy states, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and Islamic terrorism. And the U.S. is totally unaware of this. One of the chapter titles is, "What if they gave a war and nobody knew about it?" We're living in an information age. Those countries have figured out that they can't confront the United States on the kinetic military front, so they're using information operations. And this is really to sound the alarm that the United States needs to take steps to, first of all, counter this foreign information warfare, and then to get into the fight on our own level, go on the offensive with U.S. information warfare, to counteract lies and disinformation, and to promote the ideals of freedom, liberty, and democracy.
Now, within the